Welcome everyone to this week's Force Friday. Today we're going to talk about faces. It seemed like everyone was really interested in the subject of faces last week, so we thought we would continue with it. But today we're going to push the focus towards how do you draw from realism all the way to abstraction. And we're going to go as abstract as like sort of like a TV 2D animation style where Swenley will be doing that. So Mrityunjay is going to be driving realism today. I'm going to be driving this middle ground, sort of a Disney style mixed in with comic bookish kind of feel. Each one of us will draw one of these faces live. The fun part today, of course, will be that each one of us also drew each other. So I've drawn Mrityunjay, myself, and Swenley in sort of, like I said, a Disney / comic booky feel. Mrityunjay's done us all in this realistic style, and Swenley's going to back up the fun with all of us done in a TV style. And one, like I said, each one of us will draw one of the people live for you guys, so we can actually talk our way through it. So first of all, let's say hello to our other Force instructors. How you guys doing?
Great, excited. This will be a fun topic, I think.
Yeah, every week is fun, isn't it? But this one especially. Yeah, next week we should do caricatures of this. How do we take it even further than what we did today? Actually, wouldn't be a bad idea. Like, how do you exaggerate based? Yours is already kind of caricaturized, Swenley, but you can go even further, right? You abstract it, but how do we go really far? Yeah. So let's get started, right? Let's head back to Photoshop. I want to see if there's any, I wanted to kind of set Mrityunjay up here a little bit. We were talking about this session today before we went live, and it seems like there's two kind of really big topics I think they're going to drive through the session today. The first one is editing. I think editing is an actual really big deal that's happening here. What you're seeing, by the way, on my screen, just to give some credit to the folks out there, is on our far left is Rembrandt, right? So it's a self-portrait. In the middle is Jin Kim, one of the awesome character designers over at Disney. And I don't know the creator's name, but on the right is Phineas and Ferb, which has been a very, very popular cartoon for many years now. If you haven't watched it, watch it. I've seen many episodes actually of this cartoon. It's pretty damn funny. The writing's very good. I've had quite a few friends and students actually storyboard for this show in the past. And yeah, it's good. So check it out. So that's our lineup. And like I said, we're going to try to go through a similar process with each one of them. So number one, like I was saying, is editing. There's this massive editing process that goes on throughout these three aesthetics. And I think what we find is, you start off with this studying and the realism. You want to understand the world around you in order to know how to convey it and how to draw it with honesty and clarity. And then it's about like boiling it down, right? And that's what I mean by the editing. You always want to start off with more to get to less, right? You don't want to start off with less and then have nowhere to go, right? So you always want the idea, like it's like film, right? When people shoot for films, they have, tons and tons of footage, and editing is literally going through that footage and getting down to the best of the shots, and then what shot goes next to what shot, and so on, right? But it's about going from big to small. So here, what we're doing is we want to say, look, we can draw each one of these people, meaning me, Mrityunjay, and Swenley, and start with all their information and edit down and edit down and edit down, edit down, and see if we can kind of hold on to the core, which takes me to the next step, which is the core idea of each person. Like, for each one of us artists today, it'd be interesting to see if they had a core idea and if they succeeded on that core idea or not, and see how that worked out, right? So to launch Mrityunjay here, one of my favorite artists when it comes to drawing faces is Charles Dana Gibson, right? Here, I'll write this down on the side here. I may have mentioned him in prior videos. I use him very often, all the time, I should say, when I'm teaching at drawingforce.com, because he's really the first step into using sculpting line. So his name is spelled like this. It's Charles Dana Gibson. Oh, you know what I want to share with you guys? This is out of my, I think I have it in here. If I don't, then I'm not going to have time to grab it. I'm just going to check real quick. But Gibson, Surface, here we go. Yeah, I don't think I have him here. Gibson, Gibson is so famous was he during his time as an illustrator, that in Disneyland on Main Street, they actually have a Gibson ice cream shop, and there's illustrations of his like in the store and on the menu and on the marquee for the menu on the wall, just to give you a sense of his popularity. That Disney himself, credited Gibson by giving him a shop on Main Street. If there's one thing that if I were to die or when I die, I would love to have a shop with my name on it on Main Street in Disneyland or Disney World. That would be amazing. Right, that would be amazing. So I think it's really cool that Disney did that. But anyway, what Gibson does is they're pretty realistic drawings, not too far off from what we see here with, as you can see, not too far off with what we see from a master like Rembrandt, right? You can see the use of line, creating structure and form and light and shadow, right? So they're using line to render, right? Which, by the way, I don't know if you guys remember this in the past. To me, there's a very big difference between rendering and like drawing. Usually drawing is line and rendering is like shading and tone. So it's kind of interesting. This kind of fits right in between the two, right? This render, because it's being done to create light and shadow, is being created though through line. I'd probably still consider this a render instead of just being a pure line drawing, but the render has been created with line, right? So like I said, Mrityunjay is going to be pushing more into this space today. So as always, Swenley and I will be tracking the chat while Mrityunjay steps up at bat to do the drawing. And then after Mrityunjay is finished, I'll go up with the sort of Disney comic booky stuff. And then we'll have Swenley finish us off with a bang with some TV stuff. Okay. All right, Mrityunjay, you ready?
Yeah, can you do like one thing? Can you like show the references, because I don't have like one on my screen, so people
Yeah,
know.
sure. Hold on, let me. So here's a reference of Mrityunjay. All right. Here's a reference of Swenley. And here's the reference that we used for me. It's the picture most of you guys know that I've been using for like 50 years, right? So we got, yeah, with the DreamWorks cap. This is me in Hawaii. That's why I'm so damn happy on vacation. All right. So that's me. You got this picture of Swenley. This is what we're working off of. And this is the photo of Mrityunjay. Okay. All right. You ready?
Yep.
All right.
All right. Share content screen. So should I show the faces today first, or should I draw?
I don't care. It's up to you. You know, if you want to start with the ones you've already done and then do the new one, or you could start maybe with the ones you've done and do some more sculpting in as we talked about, and then go on to the final one.
All right. So here's me, like drum rolls. This is me. Kind of okay. So the thing is, we have to do it like with the line, and this is like pretty much fast, right? It's like to 15, 20, like 20, 25 minutes. I'm not going to exaggerate much, but here it is. So you can also see the word that goes underneath it. Okay, it's more like this. See, it's like, okay, I'm first building off the main structure, like the face shape, kind of like a basic shape. And I really like start with the big idea here. This is the main idea. Then I kind of like divide it. It's like, okay, this is all the efforts that I'm putting in there. And then I'm like sculpting that with line. It's like, okay, I'm like trying to like bring in some volume in there by obviously like decreasing my brush shape or the size. And I want to be like specifics in there. So this is how I do it. Okay. So again, coming off from the big ideas, see how rough that idea is. Okay. Then tightening it up as we go through. Okay. So this is me. All right. Drum rolls again. This is Sunday. So yeah, here's our Mr. Shape. So again, it's this is the realism style. Okay, so yeah, you can say that it is much more about starting with big ideas, but then when you're tightening up, it's more about the anatomy, it's more about, like the features. And also when you're like rendering it up, you also want to get some likeness out of that person. Okay. I really start with like, uh, I really start with like this kind of abstract concept is like what we discussed in the last post Fridays. Like, oh, just get the shape mask, okay, and get the mouth mask, more like this. But the thing is, when we use like these kind of shapes in our like general drawing, that is like pretty much exaggerated. Like, okay, it's like, I do this, we like do these kind of things. Right? Like, oh, there's like this big eyebrow here, and then, these kind of things. But obviously, when we come to like realistic stuff, that is like a little bit bounded by obviously the motion, because our eyebrows cannot go like this high and one cannot be like this low. So yeah, it it is like used in a kind of a fenced way, but yes, it is there. Obviously now these ideas are coming from the real world. Okay, we didn't just make it up, but it's coming from the real world. So, okay, but again, the idea is to use that, be a little bit more realistic, and then I'll go for the lightness and the volume and the structure of those kind of things, and then like putting anatomy on top of it while still rendering all of that with the sculpting lines here. Okay, so so I'm gonna do Mike for today. So let's get it
Brother,
done.
hold on tight.
I apologize already. So
Yes, he did.
all right. So see, starting from this from the big shape. All right. This is the big idea that I want to go for. And as we do, you already like I connect the neck from the head, all those like big ideas there. But anyways, this is again, as you can see, I'm using soft touch. I'm not using line from the beginning. Um, I usually do like this as a center line, and it gives me like the where the person is looking at. Okay, so here's that. Now I'm kind of like when I get the big idea, obviously the head. Uh, yeah, the head is like mostly this, and obviously if there's this hair kind of thing or the cap, whatever. Right? So I'm like getting something for the cap as well. It's just like very, very quick ideas. I don't want to like be very accurate in the beginning. Accuracy comes as you move on. Okay. So, but still, there are like a lot of ideas that I still want to tackle. So now, as I'm coming to more specifics, I'm still thinking about the big ideas and the structure. See, the nose is like this. So there's like this turning edge in the nose in the front. Some people like use balls for this. So it's mostly like this, but there's this space change that happens. So see what I just did. I did this and I did this, and there's this underneath space that we can see right now. Okay, but anyways, I'll still go with this. Um, Mike is smiling as he's in Hawaii.
Yes, I'm by a little tide pool. I remember that picture well.
So what's with the DreamWorks there?
I love wearing studio hats at places I've worked. So I've got a baseball cap for every place that I've been to.
Oh,
So DreamWorks, I guess, just made its way with me on that trip.
must be a big collection.
Yeah, oddly, yeah. Skywalker Ranch was the last one, but I didn't work there. I had the chance to finally visit there, but yeah, that's been the last. Hopefully, after this whole virus settles down, now we'll be able to get out there and start working with studios again.
Let's hope it ends soon.
Yes.
You can see your work in the studio.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So see what this is. So I'm liking it, because his character is coming, right? Your character is coming, this one. So I kind of like started to like it. I'll still like work on these like structure, which I sometimes like called block out. It's mostly like, okay, I drew this line. Now it represents that perspective and the smile, right? So those kind of things. Mm, And these are like, again, like I'm also prioritizing ideas even in small things. So let's say you want to do like the lips, you want to start off with the angle, what the angle that is, and then let's say quickly block out some lips like this. So anyways, it's all about ideas, like, and how do you break them? It's gonna bring you to the success. Mm, Right, trying to get some like muscle, like it's stretching up right there. So see that this is the benefit of using soft tissue, and I can adjust things in the ground. Doesn't need to be like super, uh, super tight. All right, more like that. Things getting it quickly as I can. So see now, thinking about structure, it really helps me. And now I can like really feel this. I also mentioned in the prior one that if you're like drawing, you should be like your pencil should feel like it's going around the form and not like it's flattening it out. So it really helps you think in 3D space. Um, your eye is small, like really squished, so it's kind of helping me here.
That's my happy squint.
Hey, that's a cute eye.
Yeah, it's very nice. That little sparkle of life in there.
Yeah. Oh my God, wrinkles. Yeah. So see, like these sort of things like help you like understand the form, like structure. See the wrinkles in the eyes there, so it like wraps around, kind of in a way there. So anyway, just giving
Those are
some.
called laughing lines.
Mhm. Oh, wow.
Not wrinkles.
All right. Sorry, I made it.
Wrinkles is for clothing.
Right. Thank you, Swami. Wrinkles are for clothing, laughing lines are for faces.
Oh,
That's
give you
good.
some
I have to
sense of
remember.
body.
I got to remember that one.
All right. So now I can like now I can just like really like tighten up my brush size and like start some sculpting there. Okay, like tighten up more and more. So you see, like I got the basic, the overall structure, and there's like some character. I'm not saying it's like completely there, but some of the character, of the person there. So now we can like tighten up more. Obviously, there's like small things that make or break the character. So um, hope your nostril is not too like that. Hmm. I have to like, oh, what? No. Let me tighten up your smile a little bit. It looks very sinister.
Yeah, I look like I got kicked in the mouth. I'm gonna have to talk to my dentist.
Right. Smile is a big deal.
What's the
Lips.
name of that tooth? What's the name of that tooth that sticks out? My vampire tooth. I forget the name of that tooth.
Canines.
Yeah, canine. Thank you. Yeah, my wonderful canine teeth.
Make it a little bigger.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Lengthen
So
after
like
midnight. Little did you all know that I'm a vampire.
So
That's
really
been a
think
gag in my life. That's been a joke in my life for like 30 years.
the wrinkle.
The wrinkle, the laugh line, and the vampire tooth.
All right, so what I'm like doing here is tightening up a little bit. Yeah, now let's get to the sculpting. Like you see here,
Don't forget my eyebrows.
Oh, yes.
I always wanted to shave them and just see what happens, right?
You look like a supervillain.
Yeah, exactly. Just all bald and no eyebrows. You know.
Yeah. So I gave you some eyebrows there.
Phew, thank you. It's a close one.
Right. Getting some sculpting. I want to do that like very like dark, you know. Is it only where it's important? Too much. Lighten it up. Sinister. I can finally like give you like a shape, like a border silhouette. Like that. Yep, feels a little bit better to me. Sculpting off your forehead. Trying to like give you some volume there. All right. The crease in the neck because you're looking at the side, you know.
Looking what?
You're looking to the sides here.
Oh yes.
Neck is, I don't know if it's called crease. So, and the ear to support your glasses there.
Yes, that's the function of the ears, Matunje. Very good.
Yeah, it's all about the glasses.
So you're like testing me out.
You know, eyeglasses, just on a small note, of course, glasses are pretty awesome because they set up the box of the head, right? Like be aware that they have very strong turning edges, right? You can understand where the front of the face is and where the sides are because of the construction.
See how your hair is like under that pressure of the glasses, you know? Like
Yeah, that's every day.
Hair must be tired.
Exactly. Always crushed under my glasses. Not very kind to my hair. You know, you guys see me without a hat, and it's like pretty much this hour is like the only hour every week that I don't have a baseball cap on, by the way. Okay. I should just start wearing it. I like have to prepare on Friday because otherwise I live with a baseball cap on my head. Too lazy to do anything with my hair.
Giving it all volume. Some volume here. All right, how much time do you have?
You can have 5 more minutes. I think Swenley and I will probably be faster. Yours is the most labor intensive, so it's fine. 5 more minutes.
So let's give lips like something better. Yeah, when you're like doing like realism, it's like these things are very important, you know, because you know I've been doing like realistic portraits for people, you know, and in India especially, you know, you are judged by in many places, not just India, but mostly here. Like you're judged if you're an artist, you're judged on your skill based upon how realistic you can draw. So
Interesting.
So I learned like these sort of things, like, okay, like what are those quick like techniques, like block up techniques, you can be like more, it it can like show you like more expression in less time. So those are sort of things I really learned, Anatomy is in the way, obviously, because but structure is one of the things, because when you shape things, you really have to be careful about the lights, how it affects. And yeah, like structure is one of those immense things that affects it a lot. So I have to be really like careful about the structure and the turning edges and the boxes, and those kind of things. There's this funny thing, people just give me like a very pixelated picture, and still they expect it to be like a masterful drawing.
Right.
So I struggled a lot, struggle with these such sort of people, There's your vampire truth with the
Yes,
negative
thank you.
face.
That's more like it.
And sculpting. What I'm trying to like when I'm sculpting like these phases, what I'm really like going for is the abstraction again. To see like when the smile happens, it's like stretching your this cheek out like this. So you really want to go for this function, even while sculpting. So see here, what I just did is like I'm sculpting here. I'm taking another layer to show you a different color. So see, what I'm doing is like I'm doing this and I'm following this lead of the muscle. And this is again the mouth mass that we were talking about last week. See, there it goes. This is like stretching right now. This is like stretching. So I'm like really following that lead of the muscle. So yeah, this is how you go. Oh, there it is. Giving some volume here because it looks like kind of flat there. So again, because it's stretching, I'm really like pulling off of the side. This is a great place to scope, around your lips, around your eyes. Nose is kind of like stiff. You cannot like move it without like touching it. So, but still, it deforms, I think, quite a lot. Nose has a lot of structures like the plane changes, So it's also a great place to scope, more like that. So yeah, I think pretty much done. So anything else, Mike, you want to see?
No, I think that's cool. I
Great.
have my photo up so people can see. We'll go right from your drawing to the photograph for me to get a sense of what you did.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Right.
know what? Let me hold that up there. Let me take a
Mhm.
snapshot of the drawing so I can
Nice.
bring it in. And can you put up the drawings that you did of Swenley and yourself as well? I didn't
So
snapshot those yet.
all the three together.
No, just one at a time. I'll bring them into my Photoshop.
All right.
Yeah, let's see the other two.
See the other two. All right.
Yeah.
There we go. There's
Okay,
one.
that one. Okay.
All right. Here's one.
Okay, let me grab that too. Okay, cool. All right, thank you, Mrityunjay. Let me grab
Right.
those and bring them in.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you like it.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'm gonna come over to Photoshop. So I just grabbed those
You guys still there?
I'm here. I think Mike froze.
I'm kind of afraid. I was like, oh my God, my internet.
Yeah, me too. Let's wait and see if he comes back.
Yeah. Our host.
You're the host?
our host, he's stuck. Come back, Mike. My God, he left.
You're the host now, Mattesi. Take over. Yeah, he's back. He's coming
He's
back.
dead.
That was very weird. Everything just shut down.
Yep.
All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Sorry about that, everybody. Technological. That's what happens when you go live. All right. So let me get those drawings back in here. I also had something else I wanted to share with you guys that I was putting in on the background. We're going to talk about this in a second. So what I wanted you guys to see was, so here's the photograph of me and Matunji's drawing, so you can see a little more of the side by side. And the point here is just, at the beginning, you got to start somewhere, and you're going to start typically with like trying to do a study, right? What I'm going to do next is I'm going to try and take this to sort of a comic booky Disney space. And I've been trying to figure out, like, how do I introduce this to you guys, and what does it mean? How do you get from here to here, right? So again, to repeat myself, Matunji's space is you got to learn how to draw by studying and seeing reality, right? Like that's really the goal of all of this. And then we want to start to edit down, right? So I thought I would introduce this with a talk that I forget when or how I saw this, but ironically, I was already teaching at the time. And I had this metaphor basically on how do we do this? How do we get from reality to sort of starting to abstract? And basically we're starting to design. We're trying to bring in more ideas. Picasso is a great example, right? So here's someone who went from, realism to abstraction. And in a way, we're going from studying in reality to more and more idea-driven images, because they get more and more abstract. It takes more thinking, believe it or not, in a sense, to abstract it, more of an opinion than it is to do the study, okay? The study takes skill, right? It takes a lot of skill. So I'm showing you Leyendecker here because Leyendecker is somebody I've been using since I started teaching, and that's over 25 years ago. So he's very close and dear to me. And to me, I always say, if Leyendecker was alive today, he'd be like an amazing character designer, right? Because he understands like appealing shape design. He uses force. The shapes are all awesome. And the way I used to describe this to teachers to students when I was in New York was I would say, I want you to, iron out the bumps, right? So imagine you had like an old-fashioned iron here, right? It looks like this, right? It's a little handle and it's got its front and it's like this. And you're going to take that iron because the line, maybe the edge of whatever you're drawing looks something like this. And I would say, I want you to iron that out. So you had to start averaging down to the essence of what something is. So instead of being this bumpy, this line would suddenly turn into something that looks more like this. You see? So I've kind of, when I say iron it out, it's almost like taking your wrinkly clothes and bringing them to the dry cleaner and everything comes back with nice, clean, crisp edges to it, right? So you have to like decipher this. Now, the irony I was getting at is Glenn Keane had done a video in his conversations around Pocahontas where he described the exact same thing. And he used Leyendecker as the inspiration, right? The inspiration for the design aesthetic for Pocahontas. And he put it this way. He said, I think of it as a rock tumbler. He said, you might have a rock that looks something like this, right? And then you put in a tumbler. Tumbler looks kind of like one of those lottery ticket tumblers, right? It's kind of like this, and it's got like a handle on the end of it that's something like this, and it's got a stand, right? Like so. And it's like sand and water and stuff is mixed in here. So we would take this rock and get to its essence. Well, if you tumbled this rock down and got rid of its bumpiness, this rock would come out of this tumbler looking something like this. You see? So that's what I'm going to do here. And then Swenley's going to take that even further, right? What I'm going to do is say, I'm going to look at our faces and I want to simplify down. And it's this process of editing, and you have to make a call, as to how simple is too simple. Is it simple enough? Do I want to simplify more or less, right? That's the part that you need to figure out. But I want you to be aware at the core, this is what's happening. If you look around at Leyendecker's work, it's very clean design. You know, it's still great, right? Like that is a guy's face, you know, it's built beautifully, but it's simple and clean. There's none of this sort of awkward little bumpiness. You know, everything is very, what I call A to B, very clear A to B. Look at this guy's face, right? Even with all the information that's in here, you know, even looking at his hair, right? You'll see this curve goes this way, this goes this way, this goes this way. You know, this goes like this. A lot of straight to curve shape design, by the way, which we've talked about in the past, right? It's like hiding in here, but everything is clear, clear A to B, clear A to B, right? So that's what you get by throwing the rock in the tumbler or getting out the iron and wrinkling out those little bumpy lines, right? So it's clarity, right? Clarity, everyone. Okay, so let's go through some reveals here. So I drew a Mattesi. I don't know who I'm going to draw today. I was thinking of drawing me actually, just because I didn't like mine the most, but I feel kind of weird that there's two drawings of me done. So maybe we'll rethink that. So here's Mattesi, right? It's not that far from the truth, by the way, right? Going to comics or drawing Disney, and you look at those drawings, they're actually not that far away from reality. It's just this half step down simplification that you need to go through, right? So, you know, and I tried to really capture this sense of like innocence in Mattesi's face in here, which I think I caught. I think I feel pretty good about this one. This one was the first one I did. I probably did this in under 3 to 5 minutes. It's just really fast. It's very shape driven. I'm very aware of the shapes, but the shapes have to be right in order to create the construction. If the shapes don't land right and don't work, then the whole house of cards falls apart. So underneath this simplification I went for is the construction of it all. That's going on in my mind. I'm not doing so much of it here. It's going on in my head. So when I draw the shapes, I understand that the shapes have to work the way that they do to create those forms, right? So, you know, be aware of that. One example I kind of draw this very often for students is, you know, let's say I want to draw eyebrows on somebody's face and I want there to be perspective, right? So I might draw the eyebrows. Maybe they look something like this, right? So here's an eyebrow. And here's the other eyebrow. So it's forcefully shaped, by the way, notice. But look, you know, it's already in perspective. All I did was draw two shapes. You take one by itself, it doesn't mean that much, right? But when you have two of these together, you know, it's like, damn, look, there's a face there, right? Here's the center line. Right here would be the edge of the eyebrow. You know, here's the cheekbone. We put a nose in here, right? And there's immediately a face, right? And all I did was draw two shapes of, you know, eyebrows, but they're in this perspective. You see, invisibly, what you don't see me thinking about is this. See, I see that plane, and I kind of mapped those eyebrows onto that plane with this very simple shape. And they're rhythmic, right? I went from here to here. They have straight to curve shape design. There's one shape here, another shape here. So all this other stuff's going on invisibly in my head that when somebody's learning how to draw doesn't know is going on. They just think, oh, like you drew these two eyebrows. How did it end up like that? How did it end up in perspective? And how is he drawing so quickly and easily? Well, because anatomy is going on, perspective is going on, shape design is going on, right? All this stuff's going on in my head and I'm just drawing two eyebrows, right? So that's what happens. Some of you earlier were asking about these steps. I use force shape. So you see me drawing shapes, but I use those shapes to not only show force, but those shapes are creating form. And the way they create form is just in their orientation and relationship to one another that starts fooling you into thinking, damn, there's construction here. It's just shapes. I can cut each one of these out with the lasso tool and break Mattesi's face apart, right? And go, here's the puzzle of Mattesi's face. Now let's put it together, right? And like it clicks in and it feels like there's a full head there, okay?
Thank you for, it was amazing.
Thank you. Thanks. And then, so here's Swenley's. Swenley's and mine were harder. Mattesi's, I don't know, is just clean and simple and fast. As soon as you go to 3/4 view, boom, it like sort of ups the ante, right? I've done lots of caricatures in my life. If those of you don't know, I did caricatures for like 11 years. So a flat front face is really fast and easy for me. You go 3/4 and now all of a sudden there's more perspective involved, right? So you got to still get the structure and everything done. So I tried to stay real. I didn't change really proportion and everything too much. I just tried to simplify down, right? I just tried to get Swenley down to some simple shapes. As you can see, it's like the hair shape, the eye shapes. everything is a shape, guys, right? Like one thing to be aware of, you know, if we zoom in here, I do this talk a lot with the people I mentor is, you know, like eyebrow is a shape. The shape in between the eyebrows is a shape, meaning this, right, is a shape. Then there's the eyelid, that's a shape. Then there's the white of the eye, this is a shape. Then there's the iris, this is a shape. That shape makes the white of the eye as well. You see, so it's like shape on top of shape on top of shape, shape, you know, nested, 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 nested within. There's a lot of shapes to be aware of. Typically, I'll start with the biggest shapes, like Mattesi was saying, big to small. And I'll start really loose. I've been finding, I feel like I've been finding myself, quite frankly, the last like couple of months, in that I like starting off kind of sloppy and loose and just get something down, and then I could quickly shape it out after that. But I feel like I just got to throw something on the piece of paper, which John Navarro is actually in his interview talked about as well, right? It's just this process. Could I do it direct? Sure, but I like doing it. You know, I like doing it that way. So like I said, here's Swenley's. Hold on, let me get this out of the way here. That was so weird with my computer. Sorry about that before. The whole thing just went whoop. Just gonna shut down. Thank God I'm on a Mac and it's got, I forget that card that just juices the thing up right away. So that's the second one. You can see here's Mattesi's, right? So it's like, here's stuff that, it's like, what did we grab from each other? Mattesi also, even though he's going more for realism and sculpting, you can see he has some of that shaping in there. We both kind of grabbed onto this like cheek to the angle in the chin, right? You can see I kind of simplified it out a little bit more and abstracted it more. I have a lot less detail going on in mine. I'm just grabbing edges. Oh, I wanted to talk about that too. Talking about the simplification process, not only is there this sort of line decker A to B thing, when you're drawing stuff like noses and eyeballs, especially in a 3/4 view, what you're doing is you're grabbing the far edge. Let me grab a better color here. It's this far edge, like here's the nose. Notice I didn't draw the other side of Swenley's nose. I didn't go over the top and down the side. I'm aware that's going on, right? I know there's a top and a side, but the whole nose is really described with this edge. Why is that? Well, because like when you're drawing an eyeball or a nose, the camera is coming in from here, right? And it's this edge that I'm really using, I'm drawing to represent the entire form of this thing, right? I have enough info on the bottom of the nose over here and the shadow to like build up the other corner. So I don't need that over here. I could draw a nose on this edge and your brain fills in the rest of the information and knows there's a top and a side. On the eyeballs, it's really key as well to do that like over here. So we're looking at Swenley from this side. So I want to make sure I get that like around this in that corner. And here I should probably push this a little bit more. See if I do that, see how that adds round to his eyeball, right? It immediately makes it round. So you want to always be aware of the far edge of things based on where the camera is coming in. That far edge is really important. It's the same thing with the face in general. This is the contour. That's the far edge of Swenley's face. You don't see it over here, but that turning edge is sitting in here, right? And it's doing the same thing. So right here, I get to the eyebrow peak. That's that curve. Then it comes into his eyeball, right here. Then it pushes out into his cheek. Then it pushes in. And then I finally make my way down to the chin, right? And that gives you like this flat plane to side plane. Sorry, Swenley, I'm like using you as my, my example here. But you can see it gives me really two solid planes on the face, right? It's almost like a chiseled form, right? Like it's like this, and you get to finally see how all this works. This actually I would bring all the way down and then bring this in, right? So you can see it'd be more like that. So it's like this block of wood, right? With a plane in the front that cuts the brow, the eyes, and all those facets that go in and out to create the face, you see? All right, I'm running out of time here and I want Swenley to have time to draw. I'll show you mine and maybe I'll try to do a quick sketch on it. Here's my photograph. And then here's the drawing I did of me. I wasn't too crazy about this. I have to say, I just didn't feel like I caught me. I always think for me to draw me is the hardest one to draw. I have no problem drawing others, but then I guess maybe I don't know if it's just self-consciousness. And then I did this one. I did a more caricature. I actually like this one better. I tried pushing it. I pushed the jaw, made the chin bigger and played a little bit more with the shape of the face. So why don't we I'm going to see if I can crank one out in like 2 minutes, right? Let's just see what happens. I have no idea. Obviously we're live. So the joy of live drawing, right? And I'm just going to like try to block it out, give myself some more room here. right? And we'll go through what I was talking about before. Now I'm just gonna like throw something down. So I can see like this angle in my face, it cuts in my chin, jaw, right? My eye line, nose line, my mouth line, right? Here's like the hat. It's very similar to what Mrityunjay was doing before, right? But I'm gonna stay pretty simple. I'm gonna kind of just, you know, crudely block this out, right? Like so, and I can, this is almost enough really for me to start like getting in there, you know, to start like drawing this stuff out. All right, so here's the center. Maybe I'll give myself a center line just to help, right? So I'm like this, and got my eyebrow like this. My eye is like super small in there, but I want to keep aware of my eyeball. So I have to stay kind of on top of the roundness of the lids. There's my laughing lines. All right. Just kind of weird because I don't laugh that much. Let's see here. So that's like that. I'm kind of tightening up the shape a little bit more. All right, making my brush a little smaller. So my nose, just because I know my nose, Mrityunjay was talking before about lots of times people put a ball or something on it. You can see my nose actually is a longer ball this way. It's like an ellipse, right? So my nose comes out like this. It's pretty structured and it's kind of like that, right? And then I'm gonna pull my nostril off of that, all right? All right, so this is like this. So in the line decker piece I was talking about, what I really want here is like straight to curve, like really clear. See, I'm going from A to B, like this is an idea, 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 right? Idea to idea, right? And that's what gets you into this space of being more comic booky or Disney-ish or whatever, right? Is this, you know, this more like simplified thing that's going on, you see? Is by trying to get these shapes and these forms right, right? I'm just gonna block this in. I'm running out of time and I wanna make sure you guys get to see the awesome stuff that Swanley did. So here's my face, my mouth. As Mrityunjay said, you know, you wanna get this stretching. I'm shaping, but I'm designing with shape. I'm trying to get those straight to curves, believe it or not, in here very quickly. And at the same time, I'm creating form and perspective with all of that too, right? Glasses are really great, like as I was saying before, because it gives me turning edges and so on, right? So it's like that, and this is like this, right? So it's like that, right? This hat, I'm looking at the shape between the glasses and the hat. The edge is about right there, and then it sweeps up pretty strongly. And look at the shape of the brim, shape of the hat. Always make sure the hat, when you draw hats, that they fit on somebody's head. I can't tell you how many times I see students draw like a hat on somebody's head, but the head does not fit in the hat. You know, like this line has to fit into this shape, right? You can see my hair over here, like what Tunjay was saying, is getting destroyed under my glasses. All right, so here's a quick rough, you know, it's far from done, but I want you to see that I'm abstracting to simple shapes, right? Even something like this dimple here, I could say that's number one, that's number two, A to B. In the jaw, it's like this to this, right? Again, to the chin. So there's more of this kind of stuff going on with really clear changes in angles, changes in force. To close off, I'm going to say this. It's kind of like the pen tool. You know, it's like I want to get from here to here to here. And then I want to be aware of those clear decisions. And then at those peaks, I'm very aware of how curved is that peak or not, right? So I'm drawing, but I'm drawing towards a sake of design, okay? That's a lot of info in only a few minutes. I hope that that all made sense. And so, like I said, here's my block out of me. And now I'm going to pass it on to Swanley. You ready, Swanley?
Yes, thank you, Mike. That was awesome.
Thanks.
Let's see, share screen. All right, so time for the big reveal.
Yes.
Yes, so here we have Saturday morning, Mike.
I love it.
Yeah, Saturday morning cartoon Mike.
Love my hat. And look at my mouth here.
Yeah. So like Mike talked about now, first of all, I think it's important to emphasize, like, in order to be able to abstract reality to this level, like this looks deceptively simple. Like even me as an artist, I used to think this was easy, because you have all these simple shapes, but it takes a lot of skill, and you really need to understand reality very well in order to like strip it down to its bare essence, So if you wanted to like draw in this style, be aware that you can't just jump to here. You have to go through what Mitunji did first, and then what Mike did, and then finally you arrive here, because this is even more simple. Like you really need to like seek very clear ideas, and be able to like extract the essence of the person and then draw it. And as you can see here, I primarily used four shapes. Like four shapes, like this container for force and form. So instead of focusing on lines, we're really focusing on shape as our like primary tool to express those ideas. So I did a couple of iterations here, and I was playing with like, what's the big idea? What's the big shape idea that I see here at Mike's face? And I played with different opinions on that idea. So here it's a bit longer, here it's a bit like wider, and here really like pushed the how much the cap is like coming towards us. So even within the ideas that you see, you can start playing with those and exaggerate certain things and play certain things down, for contrast. So man, you can sit and produce like 50 different designs just from one photo, based on just playing with ideas and your opinion about those ideas. So that is Mike, and I
Hold
also
on.
did.
I have one little note on that. I just want to go in here and add this, and then this, and then that. There we go.
Yes.
Now it's perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, the vampire drawing teacher. All right, cool. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mike. So I also did myself. So and as you can see, again, so I was looking for the big shapes of the face, and for animation, of course, like especially like hand-drawn animation, like the style is based on functionality, because if it's too detailed and too complex, it becomes harder to draw, because you need tons of drawing for animation. So if you have these simple clear shapes which contain force and form, it's easier to like understand and draw over and over again, all the way from the drawing to the coloring. If you have clear shapes, like all you have to do is like select those shapes and like fill them in with a paint bucket, so it makes it's very functional. It makes it easier to produce these. Now, so before we run out of time, I want to quickly draw Mitunji for you guys.
Cool. I want to just add, like, what Swenley is doing is like, a hyper version of line dagger, right? It's all A to B, really clear, and even more edited, more simplified, right? Which I think it's harder and harder and harder to do. Like, how do you get down to the core of somebody with the fewest amount of shapes? It's such a challenge to actually be able to take that on.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like I said, it looks deceptively simple because the result is so simple, because that's the focus. You focus on simplifying, but it takes a lot of skill to simplify reality to that level. So I'm looking at the big force shape here of the head, and be aware that it's easy to be like seduced into just wanting to focus on shape, but keep in mind that even like simplified cartoons have structure. There is some sort of structure in there. Like the perspective, most of the time, is like a front view, and they try to simplify the perspective as much as possible to focus more on the shapes, but there is structure in there. So I start with a big shape, then I draw the eye line. Now, one other thing to play with is proportion. So I can draw the eye line like halfway, but I'm playing a bit with, I can put it lower or higher, and that also like expresses a different type of character. So let's see, put the center line here.
I think the other thing to remind you guys of is, Swanley came from industrial design, right? So he had years of drawing perspective and structure in order to get to a place where he's comfortable making things so flat, right?
Yeah, indeed. And again, it's challenging. It takes a lot of skill and practice to be able to do this. And it gave me more respect for people that work on this show. Like someone wrote in the chat that they look down on animation where they live. Because it looks so simple. It's like, man, it's easy. Everyone can do that. But if you try to do it, you'll quickly discover that not everyone can. So I'm looking at the shape for the ear, so it's about design. You have to make decisions. It's not just like mindlessly drawing. So like every line represents an idea, and when you're working this simple, it becomes even more crucial. Like for Metundi's ear here, like I can use a straight line, or I can use a curve into a straight. I can use one big curve. So like those subtleties matter, and that's why you have model sheets to explain to the whole team these design decisions and keep the design consistent. And so same for the nose. I'm looking at the shape. Like there are again a lot of things that I can do. Like I could have made this like a curve, for example. Now I can see this is like straighter. So get a kind of a nostril shape going on here. I'm looking at the big shape of his mouth. Now I turn this up just to make like the solid smile clearer. Now, as you can see, I'm not just like copying exactly what's going on there. I'm designing it. I'm using it as a basis, but I'm pushing a lot of asymmetry here in the design. Right, let's see. I want to push some expression in the eyebrows. And like Mike mentioned before, you want to start loose and fluid. It's, again, you don't have to start with the final result immediately. You can arrive there through soft touch. And just as you can work loose and fluid with line, you can do the same with shape.
Innocent eyes.
Let's see. So I'm looking at the shape of the hair, and I'm aware of the turning edge, and that I'm drawing that hair on the side plane.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So this is wrapping around. It's like sticking out. Now you have this like S curve going on here. As you can see, I have to stop and think. Like, it would have been, I find it much easier to draw realistically, to be honest, than to draw in this way. It takes a lot of brain power to make all those decisions.
You can see the smoke coming out of Swenley's ears. Just look at his camera. I gotta get that. I'm gonna get a smoke machine from behind my head when we go live.
Yeah, so here I need to think like, am I going to keep this, straight and abstract, or am I going to like put some of the cheek in here? There are so many decisions to be made, and that's where iteration comes into play. You sit and play with all those ideas and see which ones serve the goal that you have in mind better. Right down in some of the shapes. So this would be my first pass, and then I would, like I said, just do more and more iterations and see if I can be clearer with my ideas, and capture the essence of the person.
I think it's fair to say, when you get to this stage, everyone, it's, you're starting to draw a little more intuitively and idea driven. And that means you have to see well enough to have an opinion. And at the beginning of my books, I talk about this idea of opinion is more truthful than the truth. And that's what I mean by that statement. Like, you have to see clear enough to see the truth to actually form an opinion about the truth that is more about the truth. And it's a very fine line, because like if you did a caricature, for instance, and your opinion is inaccurate because you're not seeing clearly, then you go too far in the wrong direction. Where if you're in the right direction, a caricature, I think, reveals even more of the person than most people see in that person. I think good caricaturists really show what somebody looks like internally and externally than how somebody normally sees them. Our normal human minds kind of just dumb everything down, and it's up to us artists to step up and say like, no, look at that. That's so interesting, right? Like, you kind of pushed this arc into Muttunjay's head that went slight to the right. And I think you kind of responded to the peak of his hair on the left-hand side, the top left, and that arced his face, and then that kind of started his shape off, right? And then you kind of worked it off of that. Most people would look at this photo of Muttunjay and not see that, not respond to that ever, So it's that sensitivity thing that has to happen in reality in order to get to this place, right?
Yeah, indeed. All right, I think time's up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and stop the share.
Sure.
Very cool.
All right. Yeah. So that was fun. Yeah. Good job, Muttunjay and Swenley. Awesome drawings. So I'm wondering, I think next week we're going to continue some kind of facing. I don't normally put that in this quickly right here and now, but we've been on this little face rant for a couple of weeks now. I have some other ideas I think we can work into. So come back next week. We'll do some more stuff that deals with faces and kind of try to cap it off in the next week or two. There's probably a couple of other really great subjects we can discuss here. So thank you everyone for coming today on this Force Friday, and we will see you all in a week. Have a safe weekend and keep drawing, and we'll see you in 7 days. Thanks, Muttunjay and Swenley again, of course, as well. Take care, guys.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
See you, everyone. Bye-bye.